The Indiana Pacers are moving on to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks are going home in sad, sad fashion, and Tyrese Halliburton is at the podium wearing a Reggie choking hoodie.
I love that. And I Knicks fans like, I bet he wouldn't wear that if the Knicks would have won. Yeah, I bet he wouldn't have won it, but
I saw one Knicks fan say, wear that pregame. And I'm like, okay. The same fan called him a front runner. Shout out to the one Knicks fan who got Tyrese Halliburton going. He pulled a Portland fan against LeBron.
That was tough. Christmas Day, too.
Just chirped the hell out of Hallie, and Hallie went, okay, bet. Tally hadn't scored until that point. And then he just took off.
Tyrese Halliburton looking like he's getting more comfortable and healthier, which is a wild thing to say at this point in the season. But when you think of all the time he took off, kind of changing his game stylistically when he came back from the injury.
Not going for the explosive step backs.
Now you're looking at a guy he's like, all right, it's time where rubber meets the road. And he's been playing phenomenally. I don't know. It's really hard for me to get a tell of what to make of this Indiana team because of the Knicks team that they just played, which wants to just muddy it up, bloody and bruise you. Because the Boston Celtics will not play them that way. That's not their identity. That's not who they are. And so I have no idea. I can't get a great feel for the Eastern Conference Finals because Boston should just treat them like road apples and cruise their way to the NBA Finals. But we've seen Indiana win a gritty series. We've seen them run away with the series in a more finesse style. They may just be really damn good.
They scored 130 points in a Game 7. I don't care how short-handed the Knicks are. They had one of the best shooting performances in playoff
history.
And
they shot 60, the best. They shot 60%.
67%.
Jeez Louise.
From the field, 54% from three, and they only took 24 threes.
Yeah, because you're scoring everywhere else.
They hit 21 of their first 25, and I was, for the first half of the game, I was out with the wife doing some shopping, and I'm watching it on my phone. And I was like, let me look at the box score real quick. I know this is getting out of hand, but just how out of hand is this? And at one point in time, the Pacers, I believe, had 15 assists to the Pacers' 12 makes. To the Knicks' 12 makes. And I just went, good God, the Pacers have more assists than the Knicks have makes right now. What is happening? It was 48-28 at that point in time.
Nesmith he was incredible yesterday.
He's 8 for 8. Is that good?
I've heard.
Their starting lineup. So they shot 54% from three. Hallie's 6 or 12. Nembhard's 1 of 2. Turner's 2 of 3. Nesmith is 2 of 2. And Siakam's 2 of 3 from three. So their starting lineup was 13 of 22 from three.
Nesmith on both ends of the floor is kind of that fun part for me. And this could be what I appreciate the most out of what we saw from Indiana and then what we also saw last night from Minnesota is throwing all of the trends and the norms out when you get to that Game 7, where it's role players are better at home than they are on the road. The teams that deserve to move on are the ones where the role players shine in those big moments. That's like that championship pedigree, right? That's what we look for in teams. We saw both Minnesota and Indiana go into hostile environments and play not just good, they played great basketball.
T.J. McConnell's been not only the best role players in the playoffs, but one of the best players in the playoffs.
He has been.
He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's 6 of 8, another 12 points, 7 assists. He is a superstar role player right now. TJ McConnell, this is not a joke, is 5'11". He is a shoe taller than me. And he is an elite player on both sides of the floor because in his role, he is a star.
Go Pac-12.
He does not do anything outside of what he is supposed to do. He gets to the mid-range. He's a 47% career mid-range shooter. That's insane. 47% is elite.
And he's doing it in the Valley of Giants where he's
at
5'11". Shoot.
At 5'11", he
incredible.
Gets to his spots and he kills. And then when you overcommit to that, he goes, whoop, and he scoots right on by you and finishes the layup. And defensively, he gets under your shirt and attaches like a tick.
I think that is the big difference here with, all of the Rick Carlisle teams that fell short. It was that defensive end of the floor.
He is their J.J. Barea.
right. But it was until they got JJ Barea to perform like that in the playoffs
To
where
be the
they get over
LeBron
the hump.
stopper?
Well, to be the guy that just pisses everybody off.
And no, TJ does do that. But I mean, you take a look at their team athletically. Obi Toppin is a 6'8" athletic freak. Isaiah Jackson's a 6'8", 6'9", wiry athletic freak. Nemhard plays bigger than he is. Hallie's 6'3" Miles Turner, he has had some of the most violent dunks in the playoffs. Just collapsing either on offensive rebound putbacks or just wide open lanes on closeouts. Pascal Siakam is 6'9", almost 6'10", and what he did the last two games to the Knicks, it wasn't like he's scoring 50, but he just went in there and he too smalled everyone. You're not big enough. Without OG Anunoby, they had nobody to cover him, and he's like, oh, I can just go in the mid block and just shoot over the top of you and not have to worry about anything?
I kind of
cool.
One of the things I love about this Indiana team is that, like, they're doing it with guys that aren't from, like, traditional basketball powers. Outside of McConnell, who's Arizona guy. Miles Turner's Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But you have, like, Pascal
Iowa
Siakam from New Mexico State.
Yeah.
Iowa State for Halliburton. Nemhard's Gonzaga guy. Neesmith is Vandy.
Yeah.
Obi Toppin, Dayton.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing...
Shout out Dayton, who's got Obi Toppin, Tumani Kamara, and Deron Holmes is going to be in this upcoming NBA draft. The interesting thing is Doug McDermott is not playing, and he's the guy who I thought would be a piece for them in the playoffs.
Oh, Dougie McBuckets.
A little Dougie Buckets action. But this Pacers team, look, the Celtics are going to be heavily favored, and they should be. They've earned that right, all of those things. However, if you try to go up and down with this Pacers team, and you don't have the three-point shot hitting, if you're the Celtics, it is scary hours because they can score on everyone. I fully expect the Celtics to win the series. However, I do think this goes at least 6. I think this is a 4-2, might even go 7.
I hope it is a fun series, and I think it will be because we know Boston doesn't play well in game 2s. See, I don't know, their last 4 playoff series. And this Pacers team, they have been able to show that they've got, Tyrese Halliburton called them the deepest team in the NBA.
I don't know about
if
that.
I'd go that far, but you sit there and you look at a team that, because of the depth that they have created, and you're talking about Dougie McBuckets, who hasn't played yet, they have options to stylistically, they can throw a lot of different things at you. And at the very least,
and Carlisle will,
against a team like Boston, where physicality can make them uncomfortable, you've got a whole hell of a lot of fouls sitting on your bench where you could say, you got 6, buddy, go use them. And we've seen that physicality with guys like Tatum and Brown.
They have James Johnson on their bench who might kill somebody.
Street fighter.
Bloodsport.
But to the way that they've built this roster, they can muck it up too, because we saw against a team in a 7-game series with the Knicks, which were just battered with injuries, they're taking the fight to you too.
Again, I don't think this is necessarily proof of concept. This isn't like, oh, the Pacers should definitely commit all in and go get one more star and they're there. I think they still have some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is fraudulent Atlanta Hawks run or even Portland Trailblazers 2019 run. I think they're a step above that, but I don't think they're at that. Where do you have them? Do you think they're like just one piece away? I mean, if you're talking about one superstar piece, maybe.
Yes, they're not just from being a traditional
but not
NBA
like a one
contender.
role player.
But then again, like I think we had this conversation at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. I think we need to kind of reframe how we're looking at construction of these teams, because the super team is
dead,
going the way of the dodo.
No. But do I like Halliburton, Pascal, Miles Turner? Yes,
I do a lot.
I just want one more guy that can be a little bit of a creator. Maybe it's Ben Mathurin, who's injured right now. Maybe that guy, maybe he ends up being that guy. I don't know. But I think when I look at that team, I go, they're still a little ways away. Like they're in the upper crust, but they're not the contender, which is an interesting thing to say about a team going to the Eastern Conference Finals. But they go through here and they stamp Boston, then maybe you do change and you go into the offseason going, go get one more player.
Hey, that's one thing you agree with Draymond on. He said, "Well, it's the East. Somebody's got to win."
Look, it's battered to death. And if Milwaukee's healthy, if Miami's healthy, if Cleveland's healthy, if New York is healthy, things probably look very different.
Way different.
But that's just the way that things go. And sometimes you got to be able to capitalize. And if Boston can't, yikes.
Is this closer to a team arriving or a great or not great, a good roster that caught the luck the right way, a la Portland Trailblazers 2019?
I think it's closer to that, but I think it's better because everyone, with the exception of Pascal, is younger.
And they're not holding on to CJ McCollum?
They've already made their trade.
Citizen of the Year in the NBA,
there you
CJ
go.
McCollum.
Citizen of the Year.
Yep.
It matters in the playoffs.
Do you get a ring for that?
Maybe a ring pop.
I bet you get a nice plaque. Maybe a trophy.
Well, maybe that's better. Maybe that's better than whatever a Toronto Blue Jays fan got for taking a 110-mile-an-hour fastball to the dome